Ooh, it's bad. I feel bad for you. Come on, last one. Turmeric.
Oh, that's gonna hurt right there.
More than turmeric.
Oh yeah, that's what. Yeah, let's go.
He said enough of that.
I need some money.
Absolutely not.
It's money.
My ex might be the least income making person that I've ever been with. Ever. Everybody included.
I feel like I need to get paid for doing just this.
Go get the fucking money. Go get the fucking money. Go and get some fucking money, bitch. Go get some fucking money. Like, just go get some money. And just shut up.
Like, I know I got paid money before, but I need to get paid for just this, like, individually.
So, keep yourself beautiful. They can randomly say, yo, come do this photo shoot.
Right, model type shit. Right.
Yeah, that's how you stay in shape, you know what I'm saying? Then when you go to camp, you ain't got to start from scratch.
I don't give a shit about what happened to you. Now I want you to get yourself together and get back out there and get me my money. Now I don't care how long it takes you, you get out there and get it. Now get!
Thanks for the motivation, Big Daddy.
Pap isn't here and I'm just so sad and this and then it was like, how the fuck did you get that out of me doing a skin mask routine?
You said earlier there's some things Pap need to handle.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's the elephant in the room. I don't have to say it.
Oh,
yeah, it's the elephant in the
okay.
room. Like,
Yeah.
but that takes time. And like I said, that's not my place to speak on. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'll get handled. I just know that from my perspective, I'm with him every day, and when I'm not with him, we're on the phone every day, and we're talking and we're FaceTiming, and you know, we love each other. So that's just kind of what it is.
So the all is already given, is what she's saying.
The internet doesn't explode over every celebrity rumor. People see relationship gossip every day, scroll past it, and move on within minutes. But every once in a while, a story appears that seems to take on a life of its own. A story that spreads so fast, attracts so much attention, and generates so many theories that it becomes impossible to ignore. And that's exactly what happened when social media suddenly became flooded with claims, speculation, resurfaced videos, cryptic posts, and alleged leaks involving Claressa Shields, Papoose, and Remy Ma. What started as whispers in comment sections quickly transformed into a full-scale internet investigation, with thousands of users attempting to connect dots, uncover hidden clues, and answer one question that now seems to be everywhere. Is there something much bigger happening behind the scenes than anyone originally realized? Before we get into all of it, make sure you stay until the end, because one particular theory that's currently spreading online has convinced many fans that the biggest revelation may not have surfaced yet. And whether you believe the rumors or not, the timeline of events that led to this moment is far more complicated than most people realize.
So this guy here in the green sweater sells fur coats. On Christmas Day, Papoose was spending time with Remy Ma. They was down at the fur coat store. He bought her a fur coat and lied and tried to delete the pictures and say that they weren't together, okay? Claressa spent Christmas by herself, all right? He was with the love of his life. And so everybody was trying to tell Claressa when Claressa was down at the Louis Vuitton store, and she was just like, oh, he's with his family. It was like, yeah, he with his family, all right. He with the Shetty Love. Remember, Remy left him. He didn't leave Remy. So Papoose takes her down there to the same dude to go get these coats done, because he got the plug. He was with Remy buying her a coat with Claressa money, in my opinion, on Christmas, and Claressa sat in the house waiting on him to come downstairs. He upstairs. Even in alive. Who writing in the chat? That's Papoose. He upstairs. He upstairs. Why you keep telling us he upstairs? He upstairs. She around here calling in lies, pretending to be a fan of herself. Because Papoose out spending her money on Remy. I told you I think they both clocking her. Now he outside done took her to the same fur coat, bought her the same Van Cleef bracelet that Remy got, and she out here, she let him hit the bottom. I just think she let him hit the bottom.
Over the past few days, social media has become a battlefield of competing narratives. Some people believe the entire controversy has been blown out of proportion by internet detectives eager to create drama where none exists. Others are convinced that recent developments are merely the beginning of a much larger story. What's fascinating is that the discussion isn't being driven by one viral post or one trending hashtag. Instead, it's being fueled by dozens of separate claims, screenshots, reaction videos, live stream discussions, and resurfaced interviews that people believe may now hold new meaning. Every hour seems to bring another theory, another alleged clue, or another piece of information that sends people rushing back to re-examine everything they thought they knew. For many observers, the situation became truly interesting when attention shifted away from the latest rumors and toward something that happened months earlier. That's because a growing number of social media users now believe the most important part of the story isn't what happened recently. They think the most important part may have been hiding in plain sight all along. As the controversy gained momentum, old clips involving Remy Ma began spreading across platforms at an incredible pace. Videos that had once received relatively little attention suddenly found themselves at the center of online discussion. People started sharing excerpts, analyzing statements, and debating whether comments made months ago should now be viewed differently. At the time those remarks were originally discussed, many viewers dismissed them entirely. Some felt people were reading too much into them. Others believed they were simply emotional observations that didn't deserve serious attention. But now, with the internet searching desperately for answers, those same clips have been given a second life. Comment sections filled almost instantly with people claiming that everything sounded different in hindsight. Users began replaying short segments repeatedly, pointing to specific phrases and insisting they carried a deeper meaning than anyone realized at the time. Whether those interpretations are accurate remains uncertain, but what's undeniable is the dramatic shift in public perception. Statements that were once ignored are now being treated by some viewers as potential warning signs. And that's where the conversation began to take a dramatic turn. Because once people start believing that past events contain hidden clues, every detail suddenly becomes significant. As theories continued to spread, social media transformed into something resembling a giant crowdsourced investigation. Users started digging through old interviews, podcasts, live stream appearances, and social media posts. Screenshots circulated everywhere. Videos were slowed down, replayed, and analyzed frame by frame. Fans began comparing timelines, looking for inconsistencies, suspicious moments, or interactions that might support one theory over another. The fascinating thing about internet investigations is that they often gain momentum regardless of whether concrete evidence exists. Once enough people become interested, speculation itself becomes the fuel that keeps the story alive. Every unanswered question creates two new theories, every theory creates more discussion, and every discussion attracts more attention. That appears to be exactly what happened here. Suddenly, conversations that had once been limited to niche corners of social media became mainstream topics. Reaction channels uploaded breakdowns, influencers offered opinions, live stream hosts debated competing versions of events. Even people who hadn't previously followed any of the individuals involved found themselves drawn into the story. The mystery had become bigger than the original rumor. And then another development added even more fuel to the fire.
I make my own money. I'm successful. I mind my fucking business. And y'all steady come bothering me, but I'm the one that got... No. I got I beat your ass syndrome. I whoop a bitch. I whoop a nigga. I love my man syndrome. Because it's whatever Papoose says goes. Yeah, right? I have that syndrome. I don't fucking... How can I have this... When you say ugly girl syndrome, know that that's somebody who's... somebody who's constantly attacking people, somebody who is making up things about people, somebody who's not bothering them, they come go and bother them. That is what ugly girl syndrome is. Also, ugly girl syndrome is calling a girl that's pretty ugly. So a lot of y'all have that. Because I know damn well that I'm not ugly, but the amount of times that I see it, y'all keep saying it to me because y'all want me to believe it. And it's like, I already know. Before they created, or before I knew about some motherfucking weave and hair and wigs and makeup and lipstick and eyelashes and eyebrows, I already had accepted who I was. I already had accepted my beautiful, natural face already. So when it comes to y'all talking about some, oh, she's ugly, baby, I'm never going to believe that, because I've never thought that I was an ugly girl. When I made it past the age of 14, I saw my face, I saw my body shape, I saw my everything, and I was like, God damn, I'm a good looking woman. So you might as well stop saying that to me. You cannot convince a bad bitch that she's not a bad bitch. And then on me, everything is natural, ain't nothing bought. So when y'all come bothering me, it's like, oh, Claressa got ugly girl syndrome. No. If a girl come disrespect a man, I'm going to disrespect them back. I have don't fuck with me syndrome. Leave me alone syndrome. Let me live and love in peace syndrome. Buy what I want syndrome. The fuck? I got that I'm in a league of my own syndrome. That's the syndrome that I have. Y'all blow me. Y'all got to stop. People who I do know or don't know, I'm not finna go on nobody's page and say, oh, you're ugly. Oh, you can't dress. I don't like your hair. What? So what? You don't like my hair. So what? If you don't like my clothes, so what? Do you pay my bills? You don't. So I don't understand that. That's why it's like kind of mind-boggling to me, but it's like, bro, I have make your own way syndrome. Get to the top by any means necessary syndrome. Make your money syndrome. Man, please take care of your family syndrome. That's what I got. I got don't bother me unless you want me to bother you syndrome. I got the when you start with me, I finish with you syndrome. That's what I got. You go low, I go to hell syndrome.
One of the most talked about elements of the controversy involves an alleged audio recording that rapidly spread across social media. It's important to note that the authenticity of the recording has not been independently verified. Nevertheless, that hasn't stopped countless users from discussing it, analyzing it, and debating its significance. Within hours of the clip gaining attention, social media platforms became flooded with reactions. Some users were convinced the recording was genuine. Others argued there was no reliable evidence supporting that conclusion. Many simply wanted answers. What made the discussion particularly intense wasn't necessarily the recording itself, but what people believed it represented. For those already convinced there was more happening behind the scenes, the clip seemed to reinforce suspicions they had been developing for days. For skeptics, however, it represented another example of how quickly unverified information can spread online. The result was a perfect storm of uncertainty. Nobody seemed to agree on what was true, but everyone seemed to have an opinion. And in today's social media environment, that combination can create massive attention almost overnight. Celebrity rumors appear every week, yet very few reach this level of public fascination. So why has this particular situation captured so much attention? Part of the answer may be emotional investment. People become attached to public narratives. They follow relationships, celebrate milestones, and develop opinions about personalities they've watched for years. When a controversy suddenly threatens those narratives, audiences naturally become curious. Another factor is the presence of multiple perspectives. Rarely does a story emerge where so many competing interpretations exist simultaneously. Some people believe warnings were ignored. Others argue their old comments are being taken out of context. Some think the internet has uncovered something important. Others believe social media users are creating connections that don't actually exist. That uncertainty keeps people engaged. Everyone wants to know which version of the story is closest to reality. Unfortunately, reality moves much slower than speculation, and that's precisely why so many questions remain unanswered. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the entire situation is that nobody seems confident they have the full picture. Every time a new claim appears, it generates even more questions. Every alleged clue leads to additional theories. Every attempt to explain the controversy seems to create another mystery. Some online commentators believe there are still important details that haven't surfaced publicly. Others argue that people are expecting dramatic revelations that may never arrive. Both possibilities remain on the table. What's remarkable is how quickly public opinion has shifted throughout the controversy. Narratives that seemed dominant one day are challenged the next. Assumptions that appeared obvious are suddenly questioned. The story continues evolving in real time, which makes it incredibly difficult for anyone to predict where things go from here. And perhaps that's the real reason audiences can't stop watching. People aren't just following a controversy, they're following an unfolding mystery. At this point, the internet remains deeply divided. Some viewers believe recent developments have completely changed how the situation should be viewed. Others remain skeptical, arguing that too much of the discussion relies on assumptions rather than confirmed facts. Until more verified information becomes available, much of what people are debating will remain exactly what it is now: speculation. But one thing is certain: this story has captured the attention of social media in a way few celebrity controversies manage to achieve. The combination of resurfaced clips, competing narratives, alleged leaks, and unanswered questions has created an ongoing discussion that shows no signs of slowing down. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think people are discovering clues that were overlooked for months? Do you think social media is connecting dots that don't actually belong together? Or do you believe the biggest twist in this entire story still hasn't been revealed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.